Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn.
Work for me or work against me. It doesn't matter. Everyone comes to my side eventually.
Minions have spawned.
I don't need to get my hands dirty. Oh, but I do enjoy it. Bold of you to stand against it. Competition is for the weak. I dominate. Zone is not beneath Piltover, no matter how it may appear. In force. Progress comes at a price others aren't willing to pay.
An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Power can be right. Much like loyalty.
Has been slain.
I used to have rivals, now I have business partners. I gave out breathers in exchange for Zon's loyalty. Those dividends are priceless.
enemy has been slain.
Hard work is its own reward. No, it's the money. I'm a giver. She who controls the Sun Gate controls the world. No one even thought to invest in Chemtech before I did.
You don't!
Empires aren't built on enough. I adore this arm.
An ally has been slain.
I don't forgive debts, and I never forget them.
Killing spree. Shut down.
All my parents left me was my name. Now it's worth millions.
turret has been destroyed. An ally has been slain.
Prove your worth.
An enemy has been slain.
Nothing's free. All I ask is your loyalty. Ambition isn't greed. Oh, I need a breather.
An enemy has been slain.
I love my city. But if I had to burn down Zaun to smoke out Piltover, well...
Killing spree.
Alex would be proud. Your battle gets dropped.
An enemy has been slain.
Away.
Enemy double kill.
Your wicked dreams die with you.
Your turret has been destroyed.
Time to collect what I'm owed.
An ally has been slain.
Years of investing in Zaun has paid off handsomely.
I am done talking. Shut down.
Zaun deserves more.
Unstoppable.
Coos over perfumes. Zaun stands free.
An ally has been slain.
Gem Barons fear my reach, as they should.
The dragon away!
Scraps to the hungry, and they thank you for the feast. A charitable donation. There's a reason I call the shots. Sideworm. Piltover will suffer for his crimes against me.
An enemy has been slain. Your turret has been destroyed. An ally has been slain. Your team has destroyed a turret.
The time for talk is over.
Your team has destroyed a turret. Shut down.
Let the world know the generosity of Renata
An
Blast.
enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain. Your team has destroyed a turret. Your turret has been destroyed.
My decanter is just one more.
Has been slain.
I expect to see progress when I get back.
An enemy has been slain. Shut down. An ally has been slain. Your team has destroyed a turret.
Foundation of empires.
Now! Piltover falls. I don't need to get my hands dirty.
Please hide me from these imbeciles.
Zone is not unique, Piltover. We'll thrash them all when the convincing force.
Enemy has been slain. Your team has destroyed a turret. An ally has been slain. Your team has destroyed a turret. Your team has destroyed an inhibitor. Shut down.
Luckily, I'm rich.
Down. Killing spree.
When my parents handed out their cures, they asked for nothing. So we had nothing. Kind, but foolish. I'll bear you later. Don't hold your breath. Progress comes at a price to pay.
Rampage.
He veered off from legacy and went towards popularity and money. Y'all following me? Okay. This is where you get that fork in the road. And Devin Haney is going to have to make that decision. Okay. And a lot of fighters are because of Floyd and what he's done and kind of paved the way to show fighters like, yo, you don't have to fight 3 times a year. You can fight 1 time a year, get your belts, and then become a champion and dictate when you're going to fight, how you're going to fight, fight the big fights, generate as much money as you can in the sport. It's not about legacy. It's about, longevity for yourself and for your family, generational wealth, et cetera, right? So it's that fork in the road where they see the one lane that Floyd has paved, and then there's that other lane where it's like, nah, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm more along the lines like a Roberto Duran or a Tommy Hearns or a Sugar Ray Robinson or these great fighters that said, nah, man, I want to have a career where at the end of the day, when they mention all-time greats, my name is there. My name is there. I want to solidify that. So not too long from now, Devin Haney's going to reach that crossroad. And which direction is he going to choose? What's up, Black VYBZ? What's good, man? Jaden, what's good? DTV, what's good? Okay. Now, another thing that I want to mention and that I haven't mentioned yet, because I've been talking a lot about resumes and legacy, is styles. And I appreciate y'all voting in the poll here. We got 58% in the poll so far saying yes, Devin Haney can eclipse Floyd Mayweather in legacy. 42% says no. So it's a pretty tight poll here. Pretty tight. But I expected that. So I've talked a lot about legacy. I want to talk a little bit about style. Okay. I'll tell you guys what, man. Going back and watching the fight again last night, Haney and Kambosos. As I was mentioning earlier, if you came a bit late, when I commentate live, I'm so fixated and hyper-focused on giving you guys good commentary that I'm not watching it as a spectator. I'm watching it as an analyst and scoring the fight. But when I have the opportunity to kick my feet up and I don't got a mic in front of me and I don't got a camera in front of me, I'm not performing for an audience, I can then enjoy the fight as a spectator. And I'm here to tell you right now, I see a lot of similarities in Devin Haney's game that I saw in Floyd. A lot. And that's not a bad thing. That is a good thing because a lot of people try to emulate Floyd's style. Why wouldn't you? Floyd's style, it equals success. It means that you take less damage. It means that you win rounds. It means that you can dictate a pace of a fight. You can frustrate your opponent. And you learn the real true art of boxing, which is hit and not get hit, right? That is the sweet science. So a lot of fighters that we've seen since Floyd has really been out of the game. He's been out of the game even though he was still fighting like Conor McGregor's and shit like that. He's been out of the game for a while now. Okay. And since then, we've seen fighters and we see them trying to emulate this style. In my opinion, Devin Haney is the closest one right now in 2022. I was saying, well, what do you mean, Divine? Well, look at what Devin did last night. Okay. Coming out and establishing the fundamentals of boxing and putting that jab out there and never abandoning the jab, right? And he used the jab as a range finder. He used the jab as an offensive weapon. He used the jab as a defensive weapon. And following off that jab was a check left hook. You know, Kambosos mentioned after the fight, he's like, all he had was a jab. No, your ass got punished by a jab, check left hook, and straight right hands all damn night. Okay. And your face shows that. Like, you're not going to have your whole face was swollen. That means you were getting hit in all directions. But sure, his best weapon was the jab. And it wasn't just the jab to the body. What's another thing that Floyd did very well was the jab to the pit of the stomach, just below the sternum, right? Not only that, doubling up the jab, triple jab, jab while you're moving, jab while you're pivoting. And you're always putting yourself in position off the jab to either check left hook off of it if your opponent comes in on you, or to set up a right hands, rather it's to the body or the head. And Devin Haney also threw that beautiful straight right hand to the body. And it's about positioning, ladies and gentlemen. It's how you throw those shots. It's not just, oh, here's a jab. It's jab and what you do after that. What do you mean? Jabbing, connecting, pulling out of range. Kambosos had no chance. In the rematch, he has no chance. Okay? And look, this was a domination last night. A domination. Purely based off of generosity, I gave Kambosos 2 rounds. Guys, this was supposed to be, I mean, he was at this time before he fought Devin Haney, the undisputed champ, or well, the unified with 1 belt absent from being undisputed. This is a guy that beat Teofimo Lopez. And you can argue that this was Devin's easiest fight. And you see the improvements of Devin Haney, how he continues to improve and to get better. And we saw that same thing with Floyd. The more Floyd won, the more confident he got. The more Floyd started to find his rhythm and style, the better and the better he got and the more difficult he was to defeat. And you're starting to see that with Devin now. That confidence builder, right? Showing maturity at a young age. Just like Floyd. Floyd was a champion at 21 years old when he beat Gennaro Hernandez. 21. He was 21. Okay, so you're seeing similar paths. Now let's also talk about something else. Let's talk about defense. Devin Haney's defense last night was probably the highlight of the entire fight. A lot of people don't talk about defense. They talk about the punches landed. They talk about activity. They talk about volume. They talk about power punching. But to me, the sweet science is predicated on the ability to defend yourself and make your opponent look stupid. The amount of times that Devin Haney turned Kambosos, got behind Kambosos, made Kambosos swing and fall into the ropes. Guys, nobody is talking about this, on how embarrassing that is, and how embarrassing Kambosos looked at several different moments in that fight. Completely outclassed. Okay. Devin Haney, at 23 years old, has already started to perfect his ability in this wide foot stance, long jab, and working from that jab, and basically saying, you got to beat my jab, and I don't think you can. Floyd isn't as long as Haney, okay? But Floyd's best weapon was also the jab. The one main difference, though, between Floyd and Devin so far, I mean, and Devin might change things around because he's got plenty of time to do so. But one thing that Floyd did that Haney hasn't done yet is Floyd can actually lead with the right hands. Okay? He can double up with the right hands. All right? But defensively, a lot of similarities. What's one thing that Devin did last night? Every single time where he landed a double jab, check left hooked off it, or whatever he was doing to set up his offense to score, you know, these points in a round. They're fake points, but I call them points. But you're scoring, it's scoring punches, right? And every single time Kambosos wanted to exchange, what did Haney do? Right? He would step back, right uppercut, and clinch. Smother him. And he outmaneuvered and outmuscled Kambosos in the clinch. Kambosos was useless in the clinch. And Kambosos mentioned that in the post-fight, like, it really frustrated me, and he tried to make mention, oh, the referee shouldn't allow Devin Haney to do that. What Devin Haney was doing is not illegal, right? It's your job as a fighter not to rely on the referee to help you out. You got to figure out a way and make an adjustment of what your opponent is doing. It's not the referee's job to go in there and save or help a fighter. And when they do that, that is uncalled for. And a referee should be called out for that, right? So the ability to deflect, roll punches, counter on the inside with uppercuts to the body, and smother. And not only smother, turn them, come off the break, jabbing him in the face again, right? Not wasting any time. Never allowing Kambosos to set his feet and do what he wants to do. And even George Kambosos' dad said post-fight, George had to continuously reset. And that is exactly what Floyd did in the majority part of his career, especially the latter part. After, I would say, the era after De La Hoya, is he would get these scoring punches in. Jab to the body, jab to the head. Check left hook, straight right hand to the body, pivot, right? Shoulder roll defense, uppercut on the inside, clinch, smother, turn you, jab in the face, straight right hand. Never allowing you to set your feet and get off what you want to get off. That is exactly how he beat Ricky Hatton, with the check left hook going backwards. Ricky Hatton is successful. If you go back and look at his career, when he's able to set down on punches and rip shots and use volume. He ended up chasing Floyd Mayweather around that ring until the point he got knocked out. He can't fight while he's trying to move and track down and cut off the ring, right? So the only person or only type of style that can compete with a Devin Haney at this point is a guy who can basically give him a taste of his own medicine. Okay? And a lot of people say, hey, well, what about Tank? Well, what about him? What about Tank? Okay. No disrespect to Tank. And I'm probably going to ruffle some feathers here because I know we have a lot of Tank fans in the building. And I like Tank. I like him a lot. But I want to make one thing perfectly clear. Devin Haney is built and designed by default to go to 12 rounds by any means necessary. And he is built and designed by default to win rounds. Y'all listen carefully. To win rounds. Just like Floyd Mayweather. Devin Haney, just like Floyd, will fight their game plan and never get caught up or never allow you to use your best abilities. So my question is to people, what is Tank's best ability right now? Right now, when you look at Tank and you look at all of his attributes and what he's able to do, what is one of his best attributes that separates him from the rest? Power. Tank's got power. Tank's got devastating power for his size and his weight class. No doubt about it. Don't argue against it. He can knock out anybody. And yes, he can knock out Devin Haney too. But, like I said, Devin Haney is built and designed by default to win rounds. And just like Floyd, always prepared to go to 12 rounds. I'm not saying that Tank can't go 12 rounds or he's not in shape to go 12. What I'm saying is that if you look at Tank's fights, he doesn't lose rounds because he's outclassed. He gives away rounds. You can argue that he gave rounds away against Rolly. But there's one thing that Tank has that is like Teddy Atlas always says, the eraser. Right? He knocked out Rolly leaning back on the ropes and timed it and knocked him out. He did a similar thing to Barrios. He did a similar thing to Leo Santa Cruz. These guys, right? He gives away rounds to get comfortable, to find his timing, because he knows if he touches you, he can put you out. So we have to understand when we look at Devin Haney versus Tank Davis. If you're Devin Haney and you're looking at Tank, what are you thinking? I'm bigger, I'm taller, I'm longer, and I think when it comes to boxing, I'm better. I'm going to stick that jab in his face proficiently in his body. Every time he tries to set his feet and slide up underneath and try to land something big, I'm going to pivot off that check left hook. I'm going to keep that right hand honest, right into the pit of his stomach, and I'm going to box him for 12 rounds. And the difference between me and Mario Barrios and Leo Santa Cruz and Rolly Romero is that I can box you at a high level for 12 rounds nonstop. I don't need to try to outwork you. I don't need to try to rough you up. I don't need to try and bully you, which is what Rolly tried to do or said he was going to do. Or make foolish mistakes like dropping your hands coming in. Like Rolly getting knocked out was a complete foolish mistake, an amateurish mistake, a mistake that Devin Haney will never make stepping forward like that. So, great fight? Absolutely. 50-50 fight? That's debatable. But I want to paint this picture that skills pay the bills. And think and let it soak in. Devin Haney is built and designed by default to win rounds and to go to the 12th round and take it to the scorecards and be comfortable and confident by putting on a boxing exhibition, putting on a boxing masterclass, just like Floyd did against the likes of punchers that punched way harder than him. Floyd went up against guys who punched way harder than him. Mosley punched harder than him. Cotto punched harder than him. Castillo punched harder than him. Corrales punched harder than him. Gennaro Hernandez punched harder than him. They all had more knockouts. They all clearly can punch harder and can drop you and stop you with one punch. So then it's like, all right, well, Tank's better than Mosley, though. Tank's better than Cotto, though. Tank's better than all those guys you mentioned. Okay, perhaps. Perhaps. He's better now, I guess, if you want to make that argument, than Shane Mosley when Shane Mosley fought Floyd, because Shane Mosley was heading towards the end of his career. But let me ask the question for the chat. Who's better? Same age. Okay? Same age. Same accomplishments. Who's better? Shane Mosley at lightweight or Tank Davis at lightweight? I'll wait. I will wait. I will wait. Who is better at lightweight? Both in their prime. And Tank Davis is arguably in his prime or entering. I want to say he's in his prime yet. He's got a lot of He's got some room to continue to grow, but he's starting to enter his prime. Who's better? Who hit harder? Right? Shane Mosley wasn't like a brilliant boxer. He was a boxer puncher, but he was mostly known for, like, he can crack. I mean, Shane Mosley would knock dudes out at lightweight, very similarly to what Tank is currently doing. Shane Mosley at lightweight was 5'9". He was 5'9" with the 70-inch reach. Pretty much the same size as what Devin Haney is right now. So let's look at this for a second. Let's look at this. I'm glad that I thought about this. I'm glad that I thought about this. And I'm glad that we're having a great boxing conversation tonight. But I want to share this with you guys because we might have some young boxing fans in here. We always got some young boxing fans in here who may not be aware. All right? But look at this. Shane Mosley, right? Here we go. He is 23-0 when he first fought for his first title against a guy named Philip Holiday, where he won the IBF lightweight title. Right? Check this out. Check this out. Manuel Gomez, all these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 knockouts in a row defending this IBF lightweight title. Actually, there's more than that because he got an RTD against Jesse Leja, right? So arguably 6 knockouts defending this lightweight title. Okay, until he finally moves up and jumps into welterweight when he finally fought Oscar De La Hoya and won a split decision. Okay? And when he won that split decision, and we all know the controversy about, you know, him being on EPOs and all that other shit. But all that is not part of the conversation. We are talking about him at lightweight from 24-0, essentially, when he won his first title, to 34-0. 10 fights. 10 fights. And 9 knockouts. 9 knockouts from Shane Mosley. 9. 9 knockouts in 10 fights as a lightweight, defending that IBF title. Shane Mosley was 5'9", 70-inch reach at lightweight. Okay, so let's think about this, all right? And this is me not trying to throw shade at Tank. But when you really look at it, right, because the conversation, people are like, well, what is Divine's point? What is he talking about? I'm talking about Tank versus Haney. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm making the comparison between a Tank Davis right now at lightweight and Shane Mosley at lightweight. Who was a better fighter? Who was more vicious? Who was more who like Tank, you know, going into the fight, right? Like, I don't know, Tank's, what is he, like 24-0 and 23 KOs, right? Whatever it is. Like, his KO ratio is also very impressive. But you have to consider size. Remember, guys, I said size matters in boxing. Size matters in boxing. Devin Haney is probably, if not the biggest, well, let's put it this way. Devin Haney is the most talented lightweight out there with the frame that he possesses, meaning that he's one of the bigger, if not one of the biggest lightweights, but with the most talent. tank, with all the talent that he has and all the power that he has, he's one of the smaller lightweights. So I make the comparison of Shane. Shane, just like Devin, their frame is damn near identical. Maybe a slight reach. Haney might have like an inch on reach, but they're basically the same height, basically the same frame. The difference is that Shane Mosley will knock your ass out at 130, 135. So look, this, like I said, this is not to throw shade at anybody, okay? This conversation is about Devin Haney. And this is why y'all tune into Divine Sense, because this is what I do. I play devil's advocate. I give you guys food for thought to digest, because when you guys go out there in the real world or you get into discussions, you have to take these into consideration. You have to really be honest and objective. So we laid it out, right? The frame, the size, the length of Devin Haney means that he has the potential to go up to 147, at least, minimum, which makes him a champion at 3 different weight classes. Okay? He's 23. By the time he's 28, because he has the size and the frame to do so, and the talent and the boxing ability to go up and potentially not only be undisputed at lightweight right now, but also go on and become, at least at the minimum, unified at 140, 147, based off of talent and frame. He's one of the biggest lightweights out there. You have to understand the career paths of Floyd and Devin, the styles that they possess, the skills that they possess, the IQ that they possess, and the one thing that if you say, well, Floyd was just a little bit better, a little bit more talented, I'll give you that. I will give you that right now, based off of, Devin Haney only being 23 years old. But Devin is naturally bigger than what Floyd is. So in that regard, he could potentially have more success at the higher weight classes than what Floyd had, and take on bigger fights and bigger risks than what Floyd did. So that's the potential of Devin Haney. Devin Haney, I'll say it one more time, is built and designed by default to win rounds. Y'all understand what I'm saying? To win rounds. Not to wait and time and try to knock you out. Not to wait and time and counterpunch you. Not to, put on exciting knockouts. He is built and designed by default from a young age till now to go in there with a boxing thinking tank and outbox you for 12 rounds. Is just another day at the office. Any fighter that goes in that ring against Devin Haney has to understand that Devin Haney doesn't care about, I got to satisfy the need for knockouts, or I got to satisfy the need to go toe-to-toe. Just like Floyd, my job is to go in there and beat you. Round by round. We saw that against Kambosos last night, even against Jojo Diaz, where Jojo Diaz, he did better than Kambosos. Let's be real. But even then, Devin Haney stuck to his game plan, stayed disciplined, and the discipline from Devin right now at 23 years old is remarkable. Even when Jojo got a couple big shots in and cracked them, he proved that he had a chin. He proved that he can also, he dishes it out and he can take it. Guys, I'm here to tell you right now. Devin is the future. Devin is the future. I dare anybody to throw a name at me who has not like, oh, this is a good fight, but actually, oh, he'll destroy Devin. Oh, he'll beat him for sure. Right? Because I can say Tank, that's a good fight. But I'm not convinced that Tank wins that fight easily. Me personally. Okay? You can say Shakur Stevenson, that's a great fight. But I'm not convinced that Shakur will win convincingly. There's nobody right now, in my opinion, that I can honestly say, okay, this guy right here, yeah, like this is the guy who can really beat Devin, for sure. And I'm saying that as a Shakur Stevenson fan in this 130, 135 weight class, right? I'm a huge Stevenson fan. I think that he's also phenomenal. But the difference that I have between Shakur and Devin, for me, is that Shakur, and this is for the people that just came in here, Shakur is a guy that I see dominating 130, 135. At some point in time, he's going to be the best net weight class. He could potentially be one of the best lightweights of all time. Could he go to 140? Yeah, sure. But Shakur strikes me as the fighter where he might fight a few times at 140, but he's always going to be best at 135. That's my opinion. And he can go down as one of the best lightweights we've ever seen. He's got the talent to do so. Devin, on the other hand, we're talking about all-time great status because he has the framework